Hello and welcome to my Monday messages. And for those of you who don't know me, I am Rebecca and I use QTT personal development methods, coaching, mentoring, and homeopathy to help you and your family be as happy and as healthy as you can be and stay that way. So, my Monday messages are really about helping you to, helping you by setting a theme or a focus for the coming week, that will help you to just make little changes in your daily lives, positive changes, that can in turn help you to make the bigger positive changes. And both of those will help to support you in living the best life that you can possibly live and feeling good about your life, no matter what challenges come your way. And obviously, we're in the middle of a really big challenge at the moment. So what I do is more important than ever, if you like. So today, and if you are watching, it would be lovely if you could just give me a thumbs up or give me some kind of indication that you can hear me okay, because that's always good. So good to know. And I don't know why, but I can't, I can see that people are joining, but I can't actually see who you are. So if you want to just let me know who you are, or if you're shy, then a thumbs up or something like that, that would be great. So today, I'm going to talk about balance, really, and the importance of being in balance, no matter what situation we're in. And there were kind of two things, really, that led me to that, two stories, if you like. The first story actually made me really sad. And the second story gave me hope. So, and that's again about balance, because you need both the yin and the yang. You need everything to be in balance, no matter what it is. And then both sides of those scales are actually functioning in a really, really positive way. Good morning, Olivia. How are you? And thank you very much for joining me. So yeah, we're talking about balance today, and I'm going to give you a little technique that you can do if you feel that you're maybe focusing too exclusively on something. And that could be the current situation, or it can be anything else. It's actually quite a common problem that we get overwhelmed by one particular issue. And sometimes that having that focus, that exclusive focus, is a positive thing. Like anything, it has a positive and it has a negative, and that all goes back to being in balance. So when it's all in balance, we can use our ability to focus on something to really drive us forward and to help us to achieve things, to help us to achieve projects, reach goals, all of those kind of things. However, even in a kind of more positive way, when it's being used, if it's being done at the exclusion of everything else, so, you're not able to think about your family, your self-care, any of those things that we need to be in balance, then that's heading in the wrong direction, and that inevitably can lead to things like burnout and feeling completely overwhelmed. And usually feeling overwhelmed is just about your head being stuffed full of this thing, whatever it is, this thing that you're focusing on. And it just is so big, or getting bigger and bigger, that it's pushing everything else out. And it makes the subject of our focus much bigger and much more all-consuming than it should be, and actually is in reality most of the time. So today I just want to give you a little tip to help that. But I want to tell you the story of what led me to this, first of all. And it is a sad story. I think it's a human story. Basically, there was a client who told me this story a couple of days ago, of a relative of hers, an elderly lady who lost her husband very suddenly, very tragically. Nothing to do with this virus, I hasten to add. And obviously that's a massive, massive thing in its own right. And it's, grief is an all-consuming emotion, or can be. And what we need at that time is the support of our tribe, our family, the people that we love and who love us in return. We need a lot of physical support as well as emotional support. We crave hugs and kisses and an arm around the shoulder, all of those kind of things. And this poor lady has almost overnight found herself living on her own in isolation, desperate for human connection, for the support of her tribe, of her family. And her family are too frightened to provide that. And that made me really sad. And it made me sad for both parties, for the relatives who felt so frightened that they couldn't reach out to their relation, and for this poor lady who is desperate for comfort and succour. And it made me just realise that I think the balance is in danger of tipping. And if we're throwing baby out with the bathwater, if we're, for the best of reasons, if we are casting people out and not able to provide them with basic humanity, basic human comfort and love and connection, then that's a really sad place to be in. It's a dark place. I think we've got to be careful that we don't get too isolated in our little bubbles, and to the extent that we're regarding everybody outside of that bubble as a potential threat, first and foremost. And I really hope that most of you are able not to be in that place. But I know that some people are, and they're too frightened even to go out shopping or anything like that. And that's when, for me, the scale has definitely tipped. Because as a health practitioner, I know that this lady who is grieving, not being able to get the support and the comfort that she needs, could mean the difference between her being able to process that grief really healthily and come through it, or perhaps the grief becoming completely all-consuming and making her ill. So it's a very important part of us being healthy that we have that connection and that humanity. And obviously there's lots of ways of expressing that, and there are lots of possibilities in that situation. I'd be really interested to know what you would do in that situation. Actually, if you had a relation in that position, what would you do? Would you reach out to them? Would you go to them anyway? What would you do? Because it made me really think quite hard. So that's what brought to mind the need for balance in everything. So I thought the first thing I would do today is take you through a little process to help turn your lens away perhaps from that very, very focused vision on everything that's going on around you, and just widen it so that you can perhaps see what's going on around, or what's going to either side of of the issue, whatever it is for you. And I'm deliberately not focusing, excuse the pun, exclusively on the virus and the pandemic, because it may not be that for you. It might be something else. And this is a technique that you can use for almost anything, really, if you feel that your head is just about to explode with what can I do? What can I do? There's just so much stuff. I can't see an end to it, which is pretty much what overwhelm is. And you're unable to focus on anything else. So the first thing to do is to just take a moment and sit down somewhere quiet and think about that issue that you're focusing on, and see it contained as a ball. It's a ball that's currently in your head, and give it a colour. Any colour, it doesn't matter what. It's just, if you give something a colour, it just helps. It's a kind of shortcut to you being able to visualise things in a clear way. So I'm going to pick dark grey today for me. So that dark grey ball is in your head currently, and it's pushed everything else out. So what I want you to visualise, and you can close your eyes if you want to do this, or you can have them open, whichever works for you. And I just want to have you visualise you're taking that grey ball and you're taking it out of your head and you're sticking it on a notice board on the wall in front of you. Just stick that pin in. It's firmly held. It's there on the wall in front of you. It's not in your head anymore. So come back from the wall as far as you want to. Just notice that it's there, and there's loads of space around it. There's actually much more space around the grey ball than there is of the ball itself. So you can see that although it seemed very big when it was in your head, it's actually not that big. So that's the first thing I want you to notice. Now, just close your eyes for a second and notice how your head is so much freer, so much emptier. And you're able to just start focusing on your breath and just feel that breathing and feel those shoulders coming right down. Feel that heart rate reducing and your breathing becoming more regulated. Now I want you to put your hands on your heart and think about somebody or something that you absolutely love unconditionally. That could be a happy place, it could be a pet, it could be a young child. I shared a lovely post a couple of days ago of a baby laughing in a bath, and every time I hear it and every time I think about it now, it just makes me feel so joyous and full of love. So that's what I'm going to think about. And immediately, if you did have any shoulders still up around your neck, and just notice that when you think of that person, that thing, that situation that you love and that loves you back, that your shoulders drop even further and you feel even calmer, and you're just able to be still and quiet and calm and relaxed. And you can stay in that as long as you like, or you can, when you're ready, come out of it. Now, obviously, if you feel comfortable, just continue with your day. If you're still a little bit focused on that grey ball that you took out of your head, just know that you've pinned it to the notice board. It's there. Won't go anywhere unless you want it to. So you can always come back to it. So I would urge you, just have that in your head. Yeah, it's there if I need it, if I want to. But at the moment, I'm going to go off and I'm just going to think about something else. I'm going to focus on something else, no matter what that is. Good morning, Monica. I'm going to give you a little wave there. I don't know why, but Facebook offers me up a wave for some people, but not others. So you're very welcome. So hopefully you are in a relaxed enough state to be able to have shifted your focus from that all-consuming thing, and you can now start noticing what's going on in a wider context. Now, if when you're doing this, you're actually trying to tackle a very particular problem, it's much more likely, now you've got a bit of clarity and you've got this thing out of your head, you're going to be able to be much more open to finding solutions to that problem and finding respite from it, because the solutions and the respite from the problem, the overwhelm, whatever it is, they're always going to be outside of the problem. They're never going to be inside that circle. So by continuing to focus on that problem or that issue exclusively, that's all you're going to see. Whereas if you want some relief and some solution, then you need to look somewhere else for that. And it's usually when we're really, really relaxed, perhaps even in the shower or the bath or something like that, that our best ideas come to us, because we're relaxed and we're open and we're not using all our energy to focus on something really quite negative and overwhelming. So I hope that makes sense. Do try it out. So that's a good thing to do. Maybe, depending what's going on for you, you could do that daily, or you could do it, just when you start to feel, that balance is being tipped. I'm becoming completely overwhelmed and overrun with things. For me at the moment, I'm finding that I have to really, really regulate how much time I'm online, because there's so much information out there, so many positive things. I'm finding that very overwhelming. So rather than go, chasing every thread that comes my way, I prefer to just have it at arm's length and be able to use my ability to focus on what I know is right for me at the moment. So in order to do that, I need to not have things becoming into my consciousness 24 hours a day. So obviously there's all those things as well that you can do. So staying with the theme of balance, the other side of the scale is I was really pleased to notice that the last few consultations that I've done over the last few days, thanks for the hearts, were more in the line of what I would call kind of normal health issues. I had a whole flurry of online consultations with people over the last few days that were nothing to do with the virus, fears, anxieties around it, anything to do with that. They were all kind of regular health issues, the kind of things that we all need support with on an ongoing basis. So it sounds weird, but I was kind of relieved by that, because for me it meant that certainly for some of you, then your focus is starting to shift away from this big thing that we all are experiencing at the moment, and starting to notice what else is going on around and continue with the things that life throws at us. So that I thought was a positive thing. In that vein, because I'm a homeopath, many of my clients are contacting me at the moment with an eye on the fact that they are sufferers of hay fever and seasonal allergies. And some of them are already working with me. We've been working together for a year or so. So they've done their remedies during the winter months when the symptoms are inactive. And we as homeopaths, we mostly would treat hay fever and seasonal allergies in that way. So we're treating during the winter months when the symptoms are inactive, because that enables us to get to the root causes of the allergies and the hay fevers. And then when the symptoms pop up again in the months that they're active, they're usually less intense, less long lasting. Year on year, they get better and better. And within most of my clients who've been working with me in this way, within 2 to 5 years, depending on severity of symptoms and depending on how long they've had it, they don't suffer anymore. But you do have to work on both those levels, basically. So it's about balance. So if you are a sufferer, or you have anybody in your family that suffers from hay fever or allergies, then now is the time to start thinking about it. So do get in touch. It's not too late to do the deep-rooted remedies. I know there are some people who don't have any active symptoms till actually quite late summer, because the triggers for everybody are going to be different and the symptoms are going to be different too. But if you're interested in tackling that, then do get in touch with me. Just pop onto, well, you can message me, or you can pop onto the website, and that address is in the post with this video. And you can register for a free call if you want to, and we can just have a chat about how I can help. So, good morning, Brood. You're very, very welcome. We're just coming to the end of talking about the importance of balance, and do watch the replay if you're coming in at the end. There's a little technique that I shared there, Brid, with the other watchers, just to help you to kind of get out of overwhelm and get out of focusing exclusively on one thing and being able to just put a problem down, if you like, and get some clarity and focus on it. So you might want to watch the replay to get that back again. And I'm also talking about hay fever and the fact that now is the time to start paying attention to it if you want to reduce your symptoms. Yeah, I think that's probably it. So just for this week, really try and do practice the technique. If you find that useful, I would be really pleased and really interested to hear your feedback on it. But try and make sure that in everything that you're doing, that there is a balance, that something valuable is not being lost because you're focusing too hard on something else. We always need to have one. It's a sort of checks and balances. It's our own internal checks and balances, really. And it does come back to how you're feeling about things. So if you're feeling very panicky and overwhelmed, and that you can't pay attention to the things that you kind of know in your head that you ought to be paying attention to, then the scales have tipped. So that's when you might want to think about all sorts of self-care exercises, but you can start off with the technique that I just showed you. So I really hope that you have a really good week. It's lovely that the sun is now shining a bit more regularly than normal, and that for those of you who have gardens and can get outside, enjoy it. Sunshine is so good for us on so many levels as well, so including boosting our immune system and giving us all our vitamin D, which is very, very useful in the current situation. So I'd urge you to do that. And again, having some fresh air along with being inside, that's balance again. So that's your theme for this week. Make sure everything is in balance as much as you can. And if you need help with that, then I'm here for you. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Have a good week. Bye.